Hello and welcome everybody back to RPL once again. I'm your commentator Ryan Ocon31 and I'm glad to have anyone and everyone join us for the Italian Grand Prix. It is time for some action at Monza. The championship is on the line today. A lot more is on the line as well. First, we start off with the fact that Owen can clinch the title today without even being here. Minions, your second place driver in the championship, is 50 points back, and with 2 rounds to go, he has to gain a ton. He at least, at the bare minimum, has to win the race today. If he does that, he has a chance for the championship next week at Brazil. If he wins the race today with fastest lap, then he betters his chances. But if he does not do any of the following, that means the championship is sealed. Also, the Constructors' title has already been clinched already. Red Bull have the Constructors' title wrapped up at 297 points. Easily clear Ferrari at 137 with that gap. Ferrari could take second place in the Constructors today over Alpine. Ferrari have kind of sat behind Alpine the last couple of weeks. They've gone back and forth in the Constructors' title with, well, for second place, the Constructors' title, at least the Constructors' positions. As for Ferrari and Alpine, Ferrari took a couple more podiums than them on the tally when it came to last week. Alpine were catching up in their total with podiums. It was 3-3 before last week's race. It became 5-3 at the end of last week's race with Bonkers and Groggers battling for the win at Las Vegas. What a battle that was. I was absolutely amazed in the commentary box to see that battle. I was absolutely amazed to see the top speed be hit with 226 miles per hour in the slipstream there at the end. What an incredible race it was last week. The two Ferraris gave us a show. Not as much attendance last week, more attendance on our hands this week, and we have a lot of storylines to cover in just a moment. But with that being said, Ferrari can clinch second. They have 24 points of a cushion over Alpine in second place. With that being said, Mercedes are not far behind from Alpine as well. They're 30 points back. If Alpine end up completely losing control right here, Mercedes are right there to pounce. And in fact, Mercedes have their only podium finisher this season in the lobby today, and that is Adam Cotes. Adam Cotes, the Welsh driver, and the Mercedes is back racing. That is one of our storylines, which we'll get to the rest of in a moment. But the Constructors follows with 5th place being Aston Martin, 6th place McLaren. They're 5 points ahead of Haas in 7th. And Haas easily have a 7th place cushion with that podium that they got last week over 8th. 8th place is Williams, AlphaTauri 9th, Alfa Romeo 10th with only 12 points. They've got most of their points finishes from all 8th place finishes. They have got, I believe, 2 8th place finishes this season. But Alfa Romeo looking for more. AlphaTauri, Williams in that 8th place battle. A 6th place battle we have as well. Kind of a 5th to 7th battle. A lot on our hands here in the Constructors' title. Last week's race winner was Bonkers. Bonkers won over Groggers. And you can see already there's a change in the lineup, which we'll get to in just a moment. With that said, our winners in F2 last week included Skither winning the title. Skither wrapped up the title with 3 rounds to go. 4 more events left as of this weekend in F2. F2's action continues this weekend at Imola. Funny enough, us being at Monza, Italy for the tier 2 race. F1's here this weekend, so we just make our trip to Imola not too far down the road for tomorrow's F2 race, and then Britain for tomorrow's Tier 1 race, if you are wondering what the schedule looks like. Our Tier 1 winner is Stenner. That is still being investigated, considering the fact that there are some appeals to go over. There are quite the amount of appeals for the Stewart team. A very interesting end to that race between Reese and Stenner. Stenner trying to go for his first win in Tier 1. Reese trying to, again, get everything he can on Skither in the championship. He did just that, but at the expense of it, he did not win the race. A move at turn 3, which was controversial to some. A move at turn 4 on lap 2 and on lap 36, which was controversial. That gave Stenner the race victory. So here are our headlines heading into today for what you want to look out for, as we have 18 drivers that have joined us in the lobby. Great to have them, and we'll get more out of it in just a moment. With that said, Owen can clinch the driver's title today which we have already mentioned, but that'll be the big focus for today, being the penultimate round in Monza. Ferrari can clinch P2, and Red Bull have already won the Constructors' title. Red Bull have the chance to secure the most championship points for a constructor in a single season. The most that has ever been scored, 335. Red Bull is on 297. It is great to have you in the chat, by the way, JTK. I have not forgotten about you. It'll be great to see what you can do. If you want a fun fact for yourself to at least have some high hopes on, you have 2 top 5s in a row. So there you have it with yourself. As for the rest of the field, here we go. Patrick and Tadpole. There's an interesting change right there between those guys, Patrick and Alpine now, Tadpole at McLaren. So they swapped contracts, they swapped spots, they swapped teams. They're still in the same academy, so no issues there. Speaking of issues, there were a couple of issues last week, especially at the end of the race. So there was a team principal controversy which got itself figured out. However, as for the title, or excuse me, not the title, the race itself last week, both Bonkers and Groggers were in Ferraris. This week, they're in 2 different teams. Bonkers has gone to Red Bull now from Ferrari. Groggers staying at Ferrari. That contract that Bonkers had that he changed with Groggers and the whole Ferrari team and the Red Bull team, that was supposed to come into effect at the beginning of next season. That came into effect a little early. So, interesting thing to look out for. Kai has a qualifying ban. I do not think Kai is in the lobby. Kai is not in the lobby, in fact. So, qualifying ban for Kai, if Kai does join us. This being the penultimate round of the season, get what you can in the championship. I mentioned a battle for the championship itself, whether it be the constructors, drivers, and so on. Well, there's a battle for second. Minions leads Groggers over Bonkers, and then Instincts. That is your battle for second in the championship. So a lot to play for with it being the penultimate round. Season 18 signups are still open for F2. The seats are filling up quickly. If you want to message anybody to get in through F2, you'd have to message Titan Iron Wolf. Titan Iron Wolf is the one guy you would want to look out for when it comes to messaging for F2. If you want his Discord, please, please, please message the Twitch chat today and we will get you sorted out, whether it be today or tomorrow. Lastly, there are 2 things to go over. Season 10 Tier 2 contracts are filling up quickly. A lot of teams figuring it out now. Lando Norris is one of those drivers who is having his contract figured out. You could see him today returning at Williams. Next season, he will be at Alfa Romeo from the look of things, from what I have heard. Also, speaking of certain team, Ferrari have a very, very cool livery on hand here in Italy for the Italian Grand Prix. We have a full grid on our hands right now. Grandpa in that Ferrari joining in late. You also saw as well Morgan Cheeseman, who is in a Ferrari Academy lineup. He is making his debut Tier 2 start today. Not his debut RPL start, because he started an RPL's race at Japan earlier in the season. So obviously for Morgan Cheeseman, he's made a start here before. However, it was an F2. Not in Tier 2 just yet. Making his Tier 2 debut. Beatnik making his Tier 2 return. He's not made any Tier 2 start this season at all. So it's good to have Beatnik back. Not only is it good to have Beatnik back in Tier 2, but it's also good to have him in a competitive area, especially considering I know he's mentioned that he's not really great in this game. Not only has he mentioned he's not really great in this game, but he gone from Tier 1 to Tier 2. The last time we saw him on the grid was back in Spain. So that was quite a while ago now. As for Tier 1, now with Tier 2, it's Monza time, and it's great to have him back, and it's great to have your company for whoever has joined us, whether it be the chat, the drivers, or if you are a part of the league management-wise. Also, as I mentioned, Lando Norris coming back this weekend to race once again in RPL. Great to have him back at the grid as well. Lando Norris has a birthday tomorrow, so happy early birthday. Maybe he can get an early birthday present by getting that Williams back in the points. His last start was also in Spain, which he got 1 point, racing with an injury at the time. It was at least last game the last time Beatnik had made a start in Tier 2. We have a couple drivers going on track, as you can see on our onboard. Great to have everybody join us. 5 viewers. Usually that we have a lot more for Tier 2. But with that being said, I think we'll get some more throughout the session. Now, what was mentioned as well, another lineup. Well, not lineup, excuse me. Another reminder is that you cannot cut turn number 1 in the following sections that you can gain time at, or the following sections that you can get to the get to the pits back quicker. Excuse me, that was a tongue twister right there. I made it harder on myself than it should have been. If we see any drivers cut, we will obviously record it and make sure it gets sent to the steward's office. Steward's gonna have a busy one today, I think, in my opinion. But Tier 2 has kind of been a little inconsistent on the side of penalties and incidents penalized. There's been some races recently that have been great. There are some races that have recently been a little iffy. So we'll be watching out today for the drivers to see what they do when it comes to their terms of wheel-to-wheel racing. PK will be the first driver. PK will be the first driver to start a lap in the Haas. I think now it's the Alpine. I might cut out there a little bit, so my apologies. Yeah, it's Patrick F1. Patrick F1 going to be the first driver now to start a lap here in the Alpine. Let's get a hold of Monza here and tell you about the turns such as Parabolica, the Lesmos, Ascari, many famous corners of this racetrack that we come to once again. All right, here we go. I think Patrick F1 has backed up considering a turn 3. His Trout Racer has left the session. Can we get Trout Racer back in? Yeah, we can. I think. Do we have Trout Racer as a friend in this account? I don't know. That's a good question. Nope, I don't see it. So that'll have to be L74G, I believe, who gets him back in. We'll find out. With that being said, let's go on board with somebody who's actually about to start a lap. How about Minions, our man who is second in the championship? This will be very representative. For a banker lap, we have drivers before him setting a lap time, so this will not be the first lap time. Adam Cotes has been disqualified from the session. Don't know if he had a qualifying ban, unless that was meant. I don't know. Can't really tell now. However, coming to turn 1, turn 2, a very interesting section on this game in comparison to last game. Turn 3, hugging the inside curb as you'd want to do. As you see multiple drivers setting lap times. Getting close to the grass for turn number 4. Little chicane here. Second chicane on the track. Very tricky curbs right there. Which ones do you want to touch? Which ones do you not want to touch? Not too far to the inside there from Minions at turn number 6. Now for turn number 7, the second Lesmo. This corner is just a very sweeping corner. DRS applied now. Coming to 8, 9, and 10, which is Ascari. 216, 217, 218, almost 219. This is a tricky section for track limits. That curb right there to the right. Oh, he just slides, gets up the road. And I don't think he gained much time from it. So that's another thing as well that was mentioned in the pre-race as well. Not on the stream, but previously to the drivers from Cryptic. Cryptic reminded them if you do gain time, you do have to back off. It's a question of whether or not Minions gain time on that lap. However, coming to the line, this will be a 19-4, completing the checkered flag out of Parabolica. He went. The interesting thing as well that I was going to mention is was that curbing, that black and yellow curbing. If you jump over that curbing at Ascari, it sends you to the left. So be careful in that section. If you get sent there, you end up probably causing a crash. I had an open lobby race. Well, I shouldn't really say open lobby race. I was doing some races with one of our drivers here earlier in the week. I jumped the curbing, and I went right into him, and it caused both of us to run off the road. And I was in the lead at the time, too. So that curbing at Ascari is a very, very odd section, very tricky section. How about Morgan Cheeseman right now? 26.6 in the Alfa Romeo in the first sector. Now coming to the second sector. Not gaining as much time as Minions did through the second chicane. Now coming to the Lesmos. He is farther to the inside. That's another tricky section. If you clip the curbing right there, you go spinning around. Grass is another section too you got to be careful with. Morgan Cheeseman, I guess, trying to take this banker lap a little easy right now in his first Tier 2 start. See the top of the board. with the top 5, 8/10 separates them. Ascari, here we come. Very, very cautious Morgan Cheeseman has taken it. Very conservative with his lines. Very conservative with the momentum. Being very easy to not invalidate. Being very easy not to crash. Trying to get used to the track. Trying to get used to the drivers around him as well. Here we come to Parabolica. Very, very low in the battery. Morgan Cheeseman is coming to the line for his first ever Tier 2 lap. The start-finish line, it is just behind Sam Stita's other Academy driver. The only thing is that it's not too representative because we've got L74G who's not on the track right now. So we got a full grid on our hands in Tier 2. With that said, with a full grid, this is our second time this season? Yes, it's our second time this season. I wanted to just make sure there. Yep, second time this season we've had a full grid in Tier 1. How about that? Fair play to the drivers doing what they need to show up, and fair play to the team principals making sure they got a lineup with full drivers. Mythic, the only one on out lap. Who is on a lap right now on our board? Someone just crossed the line. I believe that was Lennon Norris. He just went 10th. There was someone else who also crossed the line as well. How about Molly, who's making a Tier 2 start? This is very interesting to say the least. I've raced in many leagues with Molly. We commentated on him in Tier 1 earlier last week. L74G, obviously a late reserve. So, with that being said, it's a qualifying ban for the drivers. That's another interesting thing. We've talked a lot about next season. We've talked a lot about our contracts coming up with our drivers, whether it be Tier 2, maybe F. I mean, you don't really have any contract with F2 because of the team principal side of it, but with Tier 2, right? With the one we're focusing on right here. The thing I'm interested in seeing with these drivers, whether it be, I don't know, let's say team principals lineup, driver lineup. We've talked about that kind of thing for Tier 2. We've not necessarily talked about the schedule, but an interesting thing to focus on, obviously the amount of races, drivers, but we're getting inconsistent grids as we're about to end the season off. And, you know, let's find out what it's going to be for next season. We're about to have a new champion crowned today. What's going to happen? Molly, 4th fastest on his lap. Getting a little bumble jumbled I am right here. But how about Bonkers, who is currently fastest in the session? Let's see what he can do. Comes through turn 1, turn 2. Little sweep there. Now turn 3, going to hug the inside. I think he has just backed off at the time because of a little mishap at turn 1. Yeah, so, I mean, contracts are being filled up as mentioned with Tier 2. Let's see the Ferrari special livery. I've not seen that yet. Or if I have, I've only seen it once. Yep, there we go. It was ran on last game as well, so very nice there. Yeah, I mean, a lot of things to be figured out when it comes to contracts, drivers, everything else. I mean, the F2 season does not have team principals, so that'll be a big talking point when it comes to next season. Could potentially be the last ever F2 season as well in RPL. Tier 2 is another thing to look out for as well, obviously, with the most constructors' points being scored by a single constructor. That's something else to focus on, too. Grogger's on a lap, so we're seeing what he can do through Ascari and so on. 8 minutes remaining in the session. Chat, it's quiet today. Just JTK who said something. It's good to have everybody, but I don't know who's watching. I really don't. I don't pay attention to who's watching unless you say something in the chat. So, good to have you. Whoever you are watching, a 19-3 is the time to beat if you want to go front row. Groggers has just set that, splitting both the Red Bulls. Obviously, Owen, the main Red Bull driver, not here today. Owen's not finished worse than second this season and when he started races. So, interesting to watch out with him and what he can do today. I mean, there's some drivers here in the lobby right now. We don't know what their status is looking like for next season. We don't know whether or not they have secured a contract. We don't know if they're going to race next season. Some people it's a big question for, without a doubt. It's a lot to figure out. We have Italy and Brazil to end off the season for Tier number 2. Grandpa's on a lap. Let's watch Grandpa in the Ferrari. Grandpa's had a qualifying ban already once this season. His driving has definitely been questionable at one point, as we've mentioned. But besides that, it's always fun to watch him as that person. And the McLaren goes third fastest. You know, another thing that was not mentioned in our pre-race that we probably should have mentioned is Bonkers absolutely smacks the competition. Look at that lap time. And has there been a collision with Sam Seed at turn 1? I don't know. Looking at the McLarens, let's mention them for just a moment here. McLaren, as Grandpa's invalidated, McLaren have had a improvement with their car. That person, Tadpole, in those cars. With their improvement, that's the only car change we've had. At least since this last update. If you hadn't updated your game and you're racing Tier 1 tomorrow, or you're racing F2 tomorrow, do that now. If you haven't, then and you don't do so by the time that F2 starts, then that's a poor choice from you not remembering. I should have said much time to do just that. And yeah, we didn't mention, of course, McLaren's obvious car change. Tadpole obviously not high in the order. Let's see what Tadpole can do. I think he's coming to the... No, he's pitting. He's aborting the lap. We'll go for a final lap, it looks like. But yeah, McLaren with Tadpole and now that person's third race. That person has had a great start to RPL, I must say. First 2 starts have been top 5s. And he's currently in the top 5 in qualifying. Got a surprise pole last week. He is just one driver to look out for. I know qualifying was a little controversial last week, but we'll ignore that. As Valkyrie does go 9th. Yeah, with that said, I mean, looking at the improvement with the car, specifically for McLaren, this is perfect for them. This is honestly perfect for their Tier 1 status as well with Lewis Piper, who has been impressive. He got a podium last week in Tier 1 if you are just catching up with us. I mean, just some amazing storylines to look out forward. Look out for. Let's look at this. Coming to the final sector. Parabolica. Left to go for the Ferrari driver. Not many drivers now on track. We'll go on board with Mythic after this. But here comes Grandpa. Coming to the line. It's actually going to be a pit stop here. And potentially a change of tires. So chat, 4.5 minutes remaining. Give us your pole prediction here for Monza. Let's see what we have on our hands here with Mythic. Going to be the next driver to start a lap. A total of 17 drivers have clocked in a time. Let's see who can do just that. Minions looks like he's not happy with an Alfa Romeo. I think that is Morgan Cheeseman. Must have gotten his way or something, I guess, from what we've just heard in chat. But here's Mythic starting a lap. A little slide there through turn 1, turn 2. A little tricky on the traction out of turn number 2. But on the way to turn 3, you're going to hug the inside curbing. Set yourself up for turn 4 by going toward the grass right here. He's going to do that a little late. Very careful with your curb placement right here. You can see Mythic was actually very careful with that. Mythic got his chance in the Red Bull last week. Turn number 6 now. Turn 7, the Lesmos hugging the inside curb. Not touching it because you could spin right there. Now right here, it's just absolutely flowing. Mythic didn't really hit the apex the best right there. But now watch what we can do. Come Ascari at the sector time. Is there improvement from Mythic on his lap time? There is. It's a 10th. But it does not mean he will move any places because he definitely won't now. He has just invalidated his lap time. Man, that is Let's go on board with him. 3 minutes remaining if you want to get on track to set a lap and set your final flying lap. 2:30, probably the time you want to do just that. And we'll go over strategy and some tricky corners when it comes to this race. Tricky corners, actually, we'll go over now, since Morgan Cheeseman's on the lap. Turn 2, I'd call tricky, especially with that curbing. The runoff, the slides through there. Turn 4 and 5 with the curb placement's tricky. Ascari seems to always be tricky. But see, not as much corners on this racetrack to make mistakes, so it's perfect if you have a straight line car around this track. 10th down right now in his time. Morgan is going wide right there. Clipping the curb and trying to find some time in this Alfa Romeo in his lap. He's looking to get inside the top 10, which is 3/10 away from him. Here he comes through the Lesmos. Lesmo 2 complete. 2 minutes remain. More drivers coming out on track to catch their final flying lap. Where is it on the timing sheets? It's 6/10 down. Oh, this lap's no good for Morgan. Surely he's got to be hoping for another lap at least here. Second run, I think he has saved the battery. That may be why when he saw himself a 10th down in the first sector. Here he goes. One more lap on the table. However, we're going to switch drivers here. Valkyrie F1. Bonky Minions Groggy is the top 3 prediction for Beatnik. Well, thank you there for your top 3 prediction, chat. Now it's the time to do so if you want to give a top 3 prediction, just like Beatnik did. Valkyrie F1 coming through turn 1, turn 2, inside curb there. Not much traction loss on the exit of turn 2, setting herself up beautifully for turn 3. This is the time if you want to improve your lap, you can do just that. 6/10 in front of the competition is bonkers. It's going to be tough to beat him. And can you imagine if he leaves Ferrari and goes to Red Bull and wins the Italian Grand Prix at Ferrari's home track? That'd be a crazy storyline. A 10th up from Valkyrie. Coming through. Sector 2 now. Drivers crossing the line for their final flying laps and getting in everything they can to go for pole or a top 10 starting spot. A little wide there from Valkyrie. A little slide there now from the Brazilian racing driver. Minions just cross the line and make it a Red Bull 1-2 for now. If he wants to keep his championship hopes alive after today. Starting second, that's a little concern. However, Valkyrie is backing off right here to potentially go for another lap. However, will she get to the flag in time is now the question. Here we go. Morgan Cheeseman coming to the line. 3/10 of an improvement. What's Morgan going to do? Morgan goes to the top 10. However, does he stay there now becomes the question. JTK, one of the next drivers to cross the line as well. Checkered flag is waving. Here comes JTK as well. Crossing the line. 2/10 of an improvement. That's 7th place for him. Next is the McLaren. Dat person gonna try to knock Minions off the front row. Can the McLaren driver take another surprise for a second week running? Coming to the line now. It's not gonna be the front row. He lost time in the final sector. Next is a Haas. PK could not improve a spot on the board. Next is Beatnik. Beatnik, he's 2/10 up in his first Tier 2 start of the season. How about 6th place for a competitive Beatnik back in the swing of things? Next is the McLaren of Tadpole. Where can Tadpole go on the boards? How about Tadpole going 8th? Next is Minions, and it was not an improvement on the second lap. After that, we've got Lando, 47 thousandths up in his Williams. He does move up a place. Next is a Ferrari. Can the Ferrari of Groggers take pole away? He's 3/10 up on his time right now. He's just off right there. It's 2nd place on the board. And Bonkers had that much of a good lap to absolutely extend the competition. Valkyrie goes spinning. Morgan Cheeseman cannot complete a competitive lap. Next is Mythic. Mythic still remains 17th. So with all the competitive lap times being done, it is Bonkers on pole position. Bonkers, Groggers, Minions, the top 3. So, Beatnik, you had a correct top 3 right there, but not in the same order. That is your lineup. Molly as well got 5th place there at the end of qualifying. 4 different teams inside your top 5 right there. Alpine battling for 2nd. McLaren battling to catch Aston Martin. They can do a great job of that today with where they start. But it is Bonkers who changed from Ferrari to Red Bull, currently ahead of the rest of his competition. He is on pole for the Italian Grand Prix at Ferrari's home field. Remember, earlier in the season in Imola, Ferrari had both their cars outside the points earlier this season in Tier 2. Hopefully it's not a disaster, and they have a special livery to come with it too. So here's your starting lineup on the grid. Bonkers, 5/10 in front of Groggers. Look at 2nd on back with how close that is. It's Groggers, Minions, Dat Person, and Molly rounding out your top 5. Also behind that, Grandpa, Beatnik, Tadpole, JTK, and Valkyrie running out the top 10. Morgan Cheeseman's first Tier 2 start is an 11th place qualifying spot. Lando with his return is a 12th place qualifying spot. Hunted, PK, Patrick, top 15. Sam set a lap time. Mythic set a lap time, but they're at the back of the grid as well as L74G, Tret Racer, and Adam Cotes. Shout out to Beatnik as well in his return to Tier 2, 7th place on the boards. I don't think he probably expected that as well. He's felt quite slow this game, Beatnik has, so with him returning to the grid, it's very good that he's right there. Adam Cotes returning to Tier 2 for the first time since his podium at Belgium. His only podium of the season, Mercedes' only podium of the season. Trying to hope for a little more. Gonna have to do it from the back of the grid here. So some things to mention before the start of this race. Tricky corners, turn 2. It's very interesting to go side by side here at non-DRS zones. Turn 3, not everybody's going to give room on the run to turn 4. That tricky chicane at turn 4 and 5. The Lesmos, you can't run side by side there unless somebody makes a mistake or you have that much of a pace advantage, that much of a tire advantage. That's going to be tricky as well. A Scar, you just don't go side by side there. If you clip that curb there on the right side, you're going flying into the rest of the field. So very tricky sections right there. And Parabolica, you could run side by side under there, but you're just going to lose time. As for the strategy, it's an easy soft medium, medium soft. Some people may want to go hard soft. That's kind of not out of the question, but it's not the most popular move as well. The ideal tire life, I would say, you know, in risk of a puncture, some guys, if they get damaged in the beginning, they're going to go hards. Some may go mediums for a potential 2-stop. It all depends on what tire you start on. But the softs wear almost 6% a lap. And the ERS, if we do have green flag pit stops and no safety cars to hinder us, 23% saved in the pit lane. Here we go. Time for the 5 red lights in Monza. We are racing in the penultimate round. Now it is lights out and away we go. Off the line, Bonkers got an amazing start. He's already ahead, but the slipstream's going to play a factor. They're 3 wide already, thinking about 4 wide. Minions, his championship second place is on the line. Already battling side by side. There was a car. I think it was an Alpine going on the runoff. That was Molly. Maybe. No, it wasn't. That car was Lando in the runoff, actually losing places now. His second place is still a battle right now in the opening lap as Bonkers with a big lead over the teammate. Minions holding off Molly. Molly holding off Groggers. And they all battle entering the second chicane in this race. Nobody using the runoff just yet. Mythic trying to gain spots. Adam Cotes trying to gain spots. They've done just that. Lando, Morgan, they both lost spots in the opening lap as well. They went down the order 18th and 20th now. Molly already up to a podium place for Alpine. Alpine have done a great job in the last 5 races. 3 podiums with 3 different drivers. Yellow flags. That's L74G who's gotten into trouble already. Looks like there was more trouble at the back of the field as well, but it's now a battle with Lando, Mythic, and Sam Steed for 15th place. Mythic down the order now. He's lost spots. He's crashed. Somewhat. He's definitely fallen down the order, though, at least, as lap 1 is going to go to Bonkers over Minions. Bonkers getting that gap over the teammate there. Leading lap 1, extending that gap, doing what he can to win another race this season. It'd be his 3rd win, in fact. Already behind that, here's Valkyrie, here's PK, a little switching back right now between 9th and 10th on the grid. Here's PK down the inside, almost into the grass right there. A little tricky battling. A little tricky side-by-side battling between the two right there for 9th place. They couldn't keep it side-by-side right there. Outside the points right now, Patrick F1, Hunted, JTK, a little switch back, maybe thinking right here. No. But it was bobbing and weaving, at least for the time, entering turn number 4. They've lost the gap to Valkyrie, who's lost the gap to the top 8, which have remained themselves within a second of one another until I've just spoken right there, because Minions has now lost that second, with DRS going to be able next time by. Hunted loses the place to JTK as well. In the back of the field, you have Mythic on the soft tires, Grandpa up in front of that on the hard tires, everyone else on the mediums. Mythic close to Trat Racer. No positions being traded right there. 4th place is up for grabs. How about Beatnik grabbing 6th place for a moment right here? However, Grandpa's going to hold on to it. Switchback time at the final corner of Parabolica. Beatnik inside line right here. Gets the move done for now and is ahead Now, Tadpole's wanting his chance of this as well. This is for 7th place and position in the points. Tadpole within the slipstream. How about Grandpa within the slipstream? We're about to see some 3-wide action if we don't be careful right here. However, Grandpa is ahead. Pinching Beatnik to a turn 2. They touch. Grandpa's around, and that's going to lose the points-paying position for him. He just could not keep side by side at turn 2, and it resulted in a collision. Here's Tadpole now, 7th place, 6th place with Beatnik. Locking the brakes, not to hit the back of Beatnik. And it's kind of all scattered itself within the top 7, top 6 areas because of that collision. Look at this, Groggers losing out to Molly. Minions losing out to our race leader. But Beatnik losing out to them has kind of created a train 6th on back with Tadpole following. Now Valkyrie following. PK and Patrick in the points positions. See a little wiggle from Tadpole. He got close to that curb that I was just talking about before the race. JTK becomes the 2nd driver to pick up a penalty in this race. Patrick F1 was the 1st. We saw it happen just at the same moment right there in Ascari. Track limit's going to be a big thing right here today. Ascari, runoff area, and the Lesmos. Big sections. You don't want to use up those warnings in the opening laps, as here comes Tadpole for 6th place, trying to gain back on his teammate. Behind that, you saw PK ducking out. Tadpole gets the place for now, but with DRS to play for, can he hold on to it? Can he pull that gap that he wants to pull to get himself out of DRS? As now the top 3 have got themselves into DRS within the thick of things. Molly losing the rear right there, entering turn 4, losing DRS with that being said. So this is an interesting race now for the top 3. Behind that, Beatnik on Tadpole. Tadpole made a mistake. Beatnik took advantage. And now Valkyrie in the back of Tadpole as well. Ooh, a slide from Valkyrie. Unbelievable. She was able to hold on for 8th as well in the thick of things, but she's got PK right on her tail as we enter Ascari. The drivers with penalties is going to play a big thing when it comes to later in the stages of this race. All a points position right there at 10th. Beatnik holding on for 6th for now. How much longer is it going to be though? Beatnik losing time to that person, which is Tadpole's teammate right there up in front. So 5th in front of that have pulled away and have managed that gap. That person on Groggers, 4th place right now. McLaren, with this new update, doing everything they can. Gets to the position right there. Here's Tadpole and Beatnik. Not close enough. Behind that, Patrick F1 on JTK. Also following him in pursuit for a points position. 10th place. They both have penalties. Patrick and JTK both do. And you have Grandpa and Hunted trying to follow there in the process. L74G also getting the move done on Track Racer, who's not back in this session. In front of that, that's PK making a move. Little contact right here. 10th place in this race. Looks like PK's just lost 2 spots in the whole sector right there. But PK's going to fight this back right here for 10th place at Ascari. Inside line. They're going to be 2 wide at Ascari. That's going to be Grandpa using the runoff right there. And re-entering almost right in front of Hunted. That got close. Yeah, so whatever happened to Track Racer, it's led to him being offline for the last 27 minutes. So not running 90% of this race could result in a disqualification. And you already saw before that Sam Seed making a pit stop. Tadpole gets ahead of Beatnik. Grandpa back ahead of Hunted. And there was contact right there on the front straight. They did not want to give an inch to one another. Grandpa ahead for now. Hunted trying to switch back at turn 2. Can't get anything from it just yet. Patrick and JTK now. Turn 3 side by side. JTK gets ahead in the wheel-to-wheel action. Yeah, Sam Steen made that pit stop right there. Going to the mediums looks like a potential 2-stop from Sam. May have picked up throwing damage in the opening lap. A little skirmish at the back of the pack that we were talking about in the Mythic area, the Morgan area, the Lando area. Luckily, only one driver had to make a pit stop from it. And sliding sideways is Patrick. That's going to cost him time as Grandpa got the move done on Hunted. In front of that, Beatnik also trying to put pressure on Tadpole for 6th place in this race. Bonkers already out to a 2-second lead and a slide there from Tadpole. And something happened at Ascari to Patrick F1. Lost places right there. And now we've got yellow flags behind that. That is Morgan Cheeseman on the side of the road. And he was potentially beached. Either that or just simply letting the other cars go. Now, Beatnik and Tadpole trading spots once again in this race. 6th place is now Beatnik's. More yellow flags. That's Morgan, or sorry, that's L74G, the other Alfa Romeo now again. Alfa Romeo are having an absolute disaster so far in this race, and more positions being swapped. How about Patrick F1? He is off the road. He has got a 5-second penalty. So that's his 2nd time he's been off the road in the last 2 laps. Adam Cotes takes advantage. How about the positions gained from the start of the race? 2 for Molly, 2 for Valkyrie, 3 for PK, 7 for Adam Cotes. Tadpole gaining. Tadpole thinking. He did not gonna do it. He is not gonna do it right there at Ascari. Man, that would have been absolutely bold if he would have tried to overtake Beatnik right there. He's now running off the road. Yellow flags. That's Patrick F1. His mistakes come crashing down, and now it's a safety car. He has crashed out of Ascari and is out of this race. The first retirement to this race. Couple of cars past the pit lane. And it meant 6 on back could only pit. So that brought out our first safety car. What tire do they go for? You can go hards the rest of the way if you are very, very careful on your tire saving strategies. It looks like for the most of these guys, it is hards. I meant to say the majority of them, but it is the majority of them that are going hards, it looks like. No one going for anything stupid or out of the question. 6th on back pitted. It looks like 1st through 5th will have their shot in just a moment. Luckily, they did not get necessarily bailed by the safety car, but they also got an opportunity to still catch the safety car as of where it came out. Mediums for Trat Racers, AI. Mediums for Grandpa. Softs for Morgan. Morgan having an absolute struggle at the beginning of this race. L74G, the same can be said about him. Sam Steed, another one as well at the back of this pack. This is exactly what he needed. He needed the field to get neutralized. He had that just happen. And look at the gap, 1st through 6th, I guess. They have a beautiful cushion to be able to pit right now and come out ahead of these guys. Even with the Red Bulls double stack, and that's going to be the trickiest part of this thing for this team. On a day where they can extend their constructors gap and get the most a single team has gotten in one single season, they would need 38 points to do so today. Here we go. The double stack is in effect for Red Bull. Bonkers out ahead of Minions. However, Minions is going to be trapped behind all 3 of these guys. And potentially could be Beatnik next. As they come out of the pit lane, Minions has just dropped from 2nd to 5th. So with the championship on the line, that is a concern. And Groggers is still fighting for 2nd too. Groggers, 9 points behind Minions. Absolutely has a chance to take 2nd away. And Bonkers leading this race, 69 points behind Owen, but 19 behind Minions. So, all a lot to play for when it comes to these guys running 1st through 5th in the running order. Not only is it just for the Drivers' Championship, but it's for the Constructors as well. Alpine have this battle with Ferrari. Alpine have, well, 1 car still left in this race. I had to check for a moment. Alpine have Molly ahead of Groggers, and Grandpa's outside the points. So if you want to try to get Ferrari here and make sure they don't clinch 2nd, well, the running order shows this is the perfect opportunity to do just that, heading into Brazil next week. Also as well, Mercedes have one car in the points, one car is out of the points, one car recovering from the bottom of the grid. Aston Martin, both cars in the points, trying to hold on with McLaren. McLaren having an impressive run, and with their car update, could take 5th place away from Aston. Haas as well have a car in the points, so, you know, they might not get 5th or 6th, but at least trying to hold on to 7th. If Williams, AlphaTauri, or Alfa Romeo can pull something out of the bag right here in the final 2 races, there would have to be a lot they'd have to pull out of the bag in order to get a position right there. As we see Bonkers Ghost inside the safety car, and, well, a little lag happening under the safety car here, I guess. But with that being said, as we're under the safety car, race is halted, lap 10 now. Let's give you a little preview for the rest of this weekend. F2 is at Imola tomorrow, 11:15 a.m. Eastern, 4:15 p.m. UK time. Really, anytime after F1 qualifying, make sure you tune in for those races as well. Tier 1 tomorrow as well, another race on our hands. Tier 1. That's at 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. UK. They're at the British Grand Prix in Silverstone for a whopping 26 laps, 1 lap less than this. Shall see what the drivers can do. An interesting championship battle right there. A championship in Tier 2 about to be clinched today. So we shall see what happens in Tier 1. 17 laps remaining as we're about to get underway for the safety car restart. Waiting on Morgan, waiting on Sam Steed, all to catch up. Sam Steed gets back in this race with a really bad start. Morgan Cheeseman got another questionable start, another questionable strategy with the soft tires being put on his car. He is back in this race. Mythic as well, who had troubles. Lando had troubles. Grandpa, who had some troubles. All back in this race and all having a chance to fight for points. Also, JTK, only driver left in this race with a penalty. We shall see if penalties do become a factor in this race or not. So it could be a late one right here, with Sam Steed catching back up to the pack. If not, it'll come in next time by. It is next time by. So it's time for the safety car restart to get underway in just a moment, as we've got all drivers caught up to the field just now. JTK with a penalty. Look at their constructors with where they're at. We have a Haas in the top 10. We have 2 Aston Martins. We have a Mercedes there. We have a McLaren, 2 McLarens. Red Bull, Ferrari, and Alpine. Although an Alpine is out of this race, and that is not good for their constructor hopes to try to catch second or even keep third on the table. We have 7 different constructors in the points right now. Very interesting stuff, as we've got interesting stuff happening for 12th place right here. I don't know if they know which position some of these guys are in. It's Grandpa who's got a 5-second from it. That's exactly what's happening. He's now going back and forth with Adam Cotes and choosing who's going to be in front because of, well, the potential safety car glitch of, you want to be in front of me, you want to be behind me, all that kind of stuff that ends up being very, very weird with the game. Where if you get, that's why you don't want people running so close to one another. People complain about it in Canada, and that's exactly what happens. If people run close with each other, a stack up happens, or people are in AI for too long. That's exactly what the penalties come from. And safety car is in at the end of this lap. Here we go. It is time to get things back underway. It is Bonkers leading Molly, and then it's that person. Groggers in 4th to make it 4 different constructors in the top 4. And Minions trying to keep his championship hopes alive. He's going to have to gain spots. He's currently 5th after that double stack. Here we go. Is Bonkers waiting till the start-finish line? He is thinking about it. Molly pulling alongside. He's going now. He's foot to the floor once again, and they follow behind. Groggers ducking out on Dat Person. Behind that, Tadpole and Beatnik. Third place in this race is under heat. Here's Dat Person inside line with Groggers inside line for turn 2. It's Dat Person going out a little wide. He's got Minions for company now as well as Groggers got the position. Now Minions battling for the position as well. Tadpole got 6 from Beatnik as well. Hunted trying to gain for some points for AlphaTauri, who've had a struggle so far the last couple of weeks. They need some points badly. But right now, it's Minions trying to gain back on Groggers. Molly made a mistake there at turn 4. That's going to allow Groggers and Minions to reel back in. Everybody's still keeping their nose clean in this restart so far. Oh, that got close. That was a Mercedes. That was Valkyrie once again. She continues to slide in the Lesmos, and it doesn't get any better. That person losing some positions on the restart. He was 3rd. Now he's down to 5th. We've seen some amazing stuff from him so far this season. At the end here, when he's joined the league, Hunted and Grandpa and PK, all positions that looked like were under threat, and one of them was just traded a moment ago. One could be traded again with Adam Cote scanning on the restart once again. That's the Haas pulling out to defend the position of PK. And I think PK just gave Hunted a little boot. There was a little bit of contact. Adam Cotes goes through, and that's now Morgan Cheeseman at the back of the field, who's absolutely got into more trouble. Minions for 3rd. Minions on the charge. Here he goes. Inside line, he pulls it off. Grandpa and JTK as well. He pulls that off. Little argy-bargy behind that. Hunted and Adam Cotes. Whoa, they're sliding. It's Hunted who goes ahead of Adam Cotes, but Adam Cotes wants some more. How about PK boxing Adam in right here? He wants some of this action too. Look at this, turn 4, PK's ahead. But is he though? Because ghosted inside of him is Hunted. Look at this. Talk about an argy-bargy. That's inside of each other argy-bargy kind of stuff. Stuff I wouldn't want to know about. Yellow flags now at the back of the field. Sam Steed again has got himself into some collision. That's L74G who's collected in it as well. Luckily, they don't lose too much time, but Valkyrie just got overtaken. How about Adam Cotes and Hunted again? A position swap around that area. The lead under threat now with DRS about to be enabled. 6/10 the gap. Here's Lando ducking out. So far, I gotta say, but I mean, there's been a couple of incidents, some I've not caught on stream, but pretty clean so far to this race as well. Only one safety car. That's now every race in Tier 2 I've commentated in. We've had a safety car. And even since I've started commentating, because I miss Belgium, we've had a safety car. Here's Hunted diving down the inside in the braking zone. There was contact, and there might be more as Adam hops over the curb and makes contact there with Hunted on corner exit. Lando wants his piece of action right there too. And the slipstream, here comes Lando on corner exit. Which way is Lando going? He's gonna back off. He thought of a move, didn't get it done, chose the safer route, waiting for contact potentially. Now remember, there's 2 people in front of him who have penalties, same with Adam Cotes and Hunted. That would give Hunted a points position here, I think. Yeah, it would, because Grandpa's just a 5-second. And speaking of penalties, how about Hunted? Curse right there. He gets a penalty as Groggers overtakes Minions for 3rd place in this race. Now Minions trying to follow suit back once again, gaining time out of Ascari. This being the battle for the podium. The battle for the race win, as we reach halfway, is also close in front of that. So it's Minions who's going to have the DRS and Groggers. That person following once again as well. 3 cars under a blanket here for the podium. Minions pulling out. Here he goes. 3 wide. Here's that person with the momentum. Holy cow. He's got the momentum on the inside line going ahead. But now he's challenging Minions, who he touches with. Minions has to use the runoff and comes out behind Groggers. And Beatnik has just absolutely destroyed the Ballards. He's got a penalty in the process. He's lost places to Tadpole. He's lost places to Grandpa. And now potentially JTK. L74G's got a penalty too. He just missed turn 1. Penalties was our big talking point at the beginning of the race. At Ascari, it's now coming into full effect in this race as things start kicking off. Now it's Tadpole and Minions, 5th place in this battle, in this train. They do not want to sit behind each other any longer. They're thinking about where they can get to catch 3rd place or potentially the 2 leaders, which gets closer again, 3/10. Minions as well with Groggers. Groggers took that person. 6-7 tenths between the 3 or 4 of them. And now the lead. Molly 41 trying to get by Bonkers to have an Alpine lead the race on pure pace for the first time this season, past halfway. Molly gets ahead. He is through on Bonkers. And Groggers got ahead on that person, and Groggers got a tap from Minions. He's around. Minions down the order as well. Tadpole took advantage. How about McLaren getting so many positions from that? JTK ahead of Groggers too. Both McLarens have just gone to 3rd to 4th. And now here's Grandpa inside line. Many positions at the restart. He bangs him. He bangs him again. Through goes. Around goes Grandpa. I was going to say through goes Tadpole, but he couldn't do it. That person remains 3rd now, with Minions and the DRS to follow. But now Grandpa, who gained so many positions on the restart, is now outside the points. Tadpole ahead of that person. McLaren swapped drivers and almost made contact. That person in the wings, gaining once again. Minions also in the wings of these 2 teammates as well. It is all to play for halfway in this race, about to have 10 laps to go. Remember, if the drivers are not careful with their tire saving, they could be in puncture territory by the end. More yellow flags. That's Valkyrie around. There was contact potentially, but she's going down the order as Minions gets that person, and now for the lead. There's contact. Oh, they go flying. Minions is out of this race. And we have a safety car that is halted. But Minions, his hopes for the championship come crashing down. That's going to allow Owen, the Irishman, to be your champion here in Tier 2. A near perfect season, a dominating season. Not even being here, a DNF on the board for Minions. Gives the title to Owen, who has not finished worse than 2nd in his starts this season. Oh my goodness. They went flying into the runoff. There was contact on the straight. Weaving, bobbing, didn't know what to do. And it resulted in a DNF. Our 3rd of this race is Morgan Cheeseman's DNF in the process as well. Did we miss that? We definitely missed that. Oh my goodness. They absolutely went flying into the runoff. Our 2nd safety car out. Now, you decide if you want to go into different tires in this race. Sam Steed is 12th out of the runners. If he doesn't pit here, he absolutely gains a lot of time from it. So does Mythic as well, at the back of the guys who didn't pit right there when the safety car just came out. Frat Racer, Valkyrie, PK, Grandpa, L74G all pitted, and now the leaders do too. It is soft tires for the leaders. Here we go. Who chooses to be bold and stays out? Tadpole, now at the end of the points positions, got involved in that crash. He is now in a really vulnerable spot, as if he wasn't already. So with PK pitting right here, is PK going to take a good position here? Maybe inside the top 7, top 10? We'll have to find out. But everybody pitting here, going for the soft tires except for Hunted right there. Mythic as well, and the AlphaTauri going for the mediums. PK is going to get some spots here coming out of the pit lane. He's 10th now on the board. Mediums for Mythic. Sam Seed pitted. He's 12th. Could be overtaken right here. I don't think he will. He'll be okay. Remains 12th, in fact. So I think he gained a spot and he lost a spot. He gained a spot in Mythic due to the double stack of the AlphaTauris. But he lost a spot in the process to PK, I think. And 4 drivers have penalties here. Well, oh boy, how has that just halted the race? A big crash on the front straight I said it was going clean too, and they just get a little too chaotic, and that's what does it. Tier 2 being very inconsistent in the way they drive the season. And you're exactly right there in the Discord. Owen won the championship without even being there. Yeah, that's a weird way to win the championship. You saw F3 qualifying. I didn't get to see it. I can't watch the F3 races now. Stupid TV provider. Canceling out ESPN, which is the way we get the races. Can't watch F1 either now. But all that aside, yeah, F3 title was won in qualifying, which was very weird because there's 2 points for pole. And it was won because the session was red flagged. It was very weird from what I heard of. I didn't get to see it, but that sounds very weird in the process as well. And Owen wins the championship without even being here. Minions trying to hold second in the table as well. Comes crashing down. He's probably going to be 4th if Groggers and Bonkers finish at least halfway decent in this race. Again, not what Minions needed. Not at all. And penalties to play for here for JTK, who's finished the top 5 the last 2 times in a row. Red Bull, they're not going to get the max championship points that a team has got this week, but they have the chance to do just that next week. 26 points in the table here today. That means 323 they could end up with by the end of it with a late race safety car. Man, I've seen so many late race safety cars, not only in league racing, but at this track in particular, and it absolutely gives chaos. It delivers so much action late in the race, and with some guys on mediums, some guys on softs, we could see that again. Softs here are gonna go 9 laps here at an ideal rate. They'll go 9 laps, either the driver's doing it with how many laps are left. However, puncture territory becomes 11 to 13. The mediums start to kick in, I want to say, around that 7 to 9 area. So what these medium runners are hoping for is that they maintain some good pace and have a chance to honestly get it at the end. You know, this puts in good position who I was talking about earlier in the race. Beatnik. Beatnik has a penalty. It may not be the best scenario for him, but he has the pace to hold off these guys in a crazy scenario. Lando as well, who's 8th, was running outside the points before. Lando is in a good spot here as well. Not only with that, with Lando, is the safety cars in already? This is a late call. This is going to be interesting. Molly is the back of the pack, and we could see an absolute stack up from this. This helps Lando. This helps Adam Cotes, but Molly feathering the throttle. We're going to get a stack up right here. We might get a crash if people aren't careful. Molly's on the gas now. Everybody's trying to avoid Molly going very late because the safety car was called in late. They follow suit. 8th place trade spots with Hunted and Lando. They're all jockeying throughout the mid-pack. And there was definitely contact with the Mercedes. Adam Cote goes off. Groggers as well. Loses spots in the process. He's down the order 2. More yellow flags. That's the Haas. That's PK. Man, PK had a good chance for points as well. Ping a little earlier. L74G on Sam. Sam trying to recover. Grandpa trying to recover. It's all to play for with Groggers down the inside of Lando. Groggers uses the runoff. Lando almost got smacked into. Through goes Tadpole. Tadpole gets the both of them. Unbelievable stuff. Recovering from the collision with Minions. This is his chance to now go for a potential podium or a top 5. Speaking of that, an AlphaTauri running in the top 5 on track. It will change with penalties, though. Here comes Adam Cotes, who started at the very back of the grid. How about P20 going to 6 right now? Could be a potential driver of the day right here. Here he goes, ducking out. 5th place here. Inside line. Remember, the DRS not going to be able for a couple of laps here, so you got to get the move done now. He does just that. Beatnik following suit. Beatnik with a penalty. Hunted with a penalty as well. So the battle of penalties, 3 wide. Before turn 1, Beatnik around the outside. He's going to do it unless Hunted charges in the braking zone. He does just that, but no switchback made. Beatnik gets the spot. And they all follow within a second of the car in front, all the way back. And, ooh, there's a big collision. Sam Steed, Valkyrie. I think PK got away okay. Mythic did as well. Grandpa following L74G. So many positions to fight for within the remaining 7 laps. PK with a penalty. Mythic down the order. Mythic's crashed with PK. Sam Steed also trying to gain a spot with Mythic. Sam Steed has had 3 or 4 different crashes in this race as well. That person, the driver running in the podium spot, now with a penalty as Adam Cotes goes side by side at Ascari, and that got close. He is the one who does not have a penalty, all the way back in 7th trying to gain spots with the penalties. Here's Tadpole, here's Groggers, all ducking out. Around goes Adam Cotes. There was contact and it was inevitable. Grandpa also synchronized spins as well as for the lead. Bonkers goes through a Molly. Caught him napping. Caught him napping and did so with DRS being enabled now. So this absolutely allows Molly to charge back at it. Here's Adam Cotes, who fell down the order, also on Strat Racer, which is a ghosted AI. So here's PK down the inside, and here's Adam Cotes going off the road. He's also got a penalty at the expense of that as well. Grogger's on Haunted for 7 plays. That AlphaTauri was running on the podium on track for a moment, but now is not any longer. Grogger sliding. Grogger's trying to get Haunted. Haunted throws the block right there. Oh, they almost touch. DRS enabled with the top 4 for the lead. Lando also following suit for points as well. This is perfect for him. Lando trying to add some more points on his season as well. He's not finished as high since frickin' he was running for Aston Martin. Hunted and Grogger side by side at Ascari. That almost ended in tears. And now L74G wants his say in this as well. Almost 3 wide too. L74G is going to throw it 3 wide. Here he goes. Is ahead of Groggers and Lando. Bonkers sets an amazing lap time from the lead and extends that gap ahead of 2nd. Here's L74G with Groggers again. This battle for points does not stop one bit. Whoa, they almost touch. L74G now on Hunted. Oh, Groggers throws one down the inside. They all go off the road almost. L74G sends them into the gravel. And he loses it to L74G coming out of the kitty litter. But Hunted has having to give the place to L74G and now Groggers, as Lando takes advantage of that and now is in 7th. We are seeing absolutely chaotic action here for the points positions. Here's JTK for a potential podium right now for the Aston Martins. Aston Martin, one of 3 teams not to have a podium this season. Here he comes in the charge. But for Ascari. No, not going to do it just yet. We're going to come now to 4 laps remaining and give it all you got now in this racer. It's now or never. 5 tenths between the leaders. Man, with how much the slipstream comes into effect this game, this is absolutely going to be chaotic. And Ferrari, who were outside the points in their other home race in Imola, look to almost have the same thing happen today. None of the Ferrari cars inside the top 8 right now. That's absolutely insane. However, their ex-driver is getting under heat from the lead with Molly. Molly waiting on the move. Which way is he going to go, and when is he going to do it? Beatnik goes ahead of Tadpole. Groggers and Hunted. Hunted gets Groggers. Adam Cotes behind that with PK. Remember, both of them have penalties. Hunted through on Groggers. Grandpa through on Adam Cotes. Oh, and a little tap to the back. It's an accordion effect right here. Turn 2 and spinning. Spinning goes Adam Cotes. Sam C goes through. Track Racers Ghosted Car goes through as well. Groggers under heat with Hunted. A little battle right here for 9th. Remember, penalties are at the expense of that too, so nothing too severe for that battle. For the lead! Molly got close with Bonkers. Here he comes. And Grandpa DNF'd at Ascari. He is out. And that's bringing out our final safety car of this race, which will get a 2-lap shootout now. You do not want to pit if you're any of these drivers, because you will not catch up to the safety car unless you're the top 2. Tadpole's thinking about it. I don't know why. And you know who this is perfect for a potential podium right here? Lando Norris and Tadpole. The story, if they got a podium from all these penalties in front of them, criminal. Absolute criminal and unbelievable. I think we're only going to get, as Sam C gets a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. I think he's going for fastest lap. But I think we're only going to get, realistically, the top 10. Oh my God, excuse me. We're realistically only going to get the top 10 or 11th to catch up to the safety car with the full pack to get a restart here. Lando's caught up. L74G's about to catch up. Then you have a couple more who are going to catch up. Sam Seed surely won't. But he may be going for the fastest lap, and it's currently held by Bonkers. In fact, he's the only driver in the 20s. So you're going to have to do a lot to get a fastest lap. And speaking of fastest laps, the only teams who have fastest laps on the board right now are Red Bull, Ferrari, and Alpine. 4, 3, and 2, their fastest lap totals are. You have Red Bull at 4, Ferrari at 3, Alpine at 2. Man, unbelievable. And here we go. The safety car is in this time. Bonkers leading the way over Molly. He has to get a good restart. We will not have DRS enabled at all within the final 2 laps. If you want to catch more action like this in RPL, F2's tomorrow at Imola. Tier 1's tomorrow at Silverstone. 8 p.m. UK, 4 p.m. Eastern, or sorry, 3 p.m. Eastern. 11:15 a.m. Eastern, 4:15 p.m. UK time. Now we're about to go. And it was that person and Grandpa, it looked like, who got into a collision before that. Here we go. On the gas is Bonkers. He's going now. 2 laps to go in this Italian Grand Prix. Here comes Beatnik. Here comes JTK. And Molly following suit in the slipstream. It's all to play for the race victory. Does he go for it? He was thinking of it. Here's L74G with Lando. There's a collision. Hunted's out. Lando's got damage. Lando's off the road, and he's plummeting down the order as well. And off the road goes PK with contact with L74G. It's all kicking off. The lead still stays close. 3/10. Can Bonkers hold on? Behind that, they're all trading spots. They're all figuring out where they want to be when it comes to the end of this race, where they want to be in position for the final lap. Tadpole, without a penalty right now, could be on the podium for McLaren. It would be McLaren's 2nd podium this season. Here's Mythic and Adam Cotes with PK. Valkyrie leaving the session. Valkyrie's hopes for points are over. 5 DNFs to this race as well. Make that 6 with PK. Off the road and out. Groggers with no front wing. Mythic trade spots with Adam Cotes. But now for 4th. The 2 Aston Martins duking it out for 4th now. With penalties, trying to hang on. Announcement lap done. We start the final lap. 6/10 that gap. Here he comes. Using all that battery Molly is. Molly, 5/10 back now. He's going to have to find a lot of time in this final lap if he wants to catch the Red Bull driver, the new Red Bull driver. He signed a contract for next season. After last week, it got changed to start at the penultimate round this week, and now he's trying to win on Ferrari's home soil where he's no longer at. No Ferrari in the points today from the thick of things right now. The final time through a lot of these famous corners. The Lesmos. Now with Scary. It doesn't look like it's close enough for Molly. He's almost going to run out of fuel right here as well. That is how low he is and how much he is absolutely pushing. The battle for 3rd still continues. It could be Tadpole on penalties. Bonkers switched from Ferrari to Red Bull. Red Bull's already won so many races with their drivers. They're going to add another one to the list. Bonkers on Ferrari's home soil is victorious. He wins another race this season. That's his 3rd win and 2nd in a row. Bonkers does it He is now on top of the podium once again for the second consecutive week. Molly comes home second. Alpine's fourth podium in the last 6 races. And Tadpole delivers what I believe is his second podium of the season, and it is. But it's his first at McLaren. McLaren, with their upgrades, come home third and fourth. What an amazing day for them. Owen, on the day he is not here for Red Bull, at least has a Red Bull winning. He is your champion in Tier 2. What a dominant season from him. Not finishing worse than second in all the races he started. He missed 3 races. He missed 3 races. That is absolutely incredible scenes. The Scottish driver gets his third win of the season, now ties Owens on wins, and takes second place in the Drivers' Championship with it. Catch us for Tier 2. Not Tier 2. F2 tomorrow at Imola. Another race in Italy? Don't mind us. That'll be fun. L74G from 18th on the grid. F2 is tomorrow at 11:15 a.m. Eastern, 4:15 p.m. UK time. They're in Imola. Tier 1. Britain, 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. UK time. That should be a ton of fun. That should be absolutely a ton of fun. Here are your final results. Beatnik, Mythic, Adam Cotes, Lando Norris, somehow after that calamity in the last couple of corners, gets a points position there. And those guys all finish in the points there. Unbelievable action here today in Italy. A very short race. Ends up being a very chaotic one with 3 safety cars and a battle to the end between Molly and Bonkers. What a race we had on our hands. 3 different teams on the podium once again. And before we end the stream, we present to you the Champions National Anthem without copyright. Pretty sure you couldn't hear the full thing, but congratulations to Owen. A dominant performance in his fight for a championship. Not finishing worse than second throughout a single season of Tier 2. You know, I get being in the fastest car of Red Bull. That may seem like the expectation every race for their drivers to finish top 3, but not having a foot go wrong, absolutely incredible. We'll see if he does return for Brazil at the finale with what happens to him. Catch us tomorrow for Tier 2. I'm your commentator, Ryan Oak. Or sorry, I keep saying Tier 2. F2. F2 tomorrow. Excuse me. F2 tomorrow and Tier 1 tomorrow. Tier 1 will have myself and Tire Night Wolf, the 2 commentators. I will commentate F2 alone for the penultimate round as well for them. And tomorrow we will play the American National Anthem for your champion Skidder. Till next time, have a good one, folks. Have a good night, good evening, wherever you are, and we will see you tomorrow for F2 and F1. Bye-bye.